Hey guys, this is John again. Uh, so my last video was on dropper elevators. So I went over, a few of the different types, single wide and, what I would typically use if you have the space for it, just, that one right there. But I, was trying to come up with a good 2-wide elevator, and so I came up with this design. Now, I put it over there on some dropper sorters, and it worked fine. It worked fine when that was at 1 tick, right? But I decided to remake my little test rig here, and so what I did was I put a a section of dropper vader here, so that can give me an item at half hopper speed, and then I put a section of a typical hopper sorter to give me a item rate at less than half hopper speed. So anyway, so what I did was, you can see how I have all these dropper towers at different heights, and the reason why was I realized that whenever you have items coming into the system at different rates, which can differ from one hopper to another hopper to whatever, so if you have all these different heights, then what that does is that really puts a strain on the system, and more specifically the repeaters that we have to synchronize the comparators down here to actually keep the thing running. They would just like really freak out, and everything would start going crazy, get a lot of noise just from this dropper tower arrangement. So anyway, that got me looking for another way to make an elevator. So what I have come up with is, I have a little over here by the wither killer mess. So I have a little section of it here. This is too wide, so you can build these with just a block apart from the hoppers. And I mean, it's pretty expensive. For one, you need 4 repeaters, comparator, a bunch of torches, however many observers you need, and some redstone, right? So it's pretty expensive, but in my testing, from what I found, which I'll show after I go ahead and show you how to make this, but what I found is that it can handle any input item rate at any random orientation and not make noise. So I'll go ahead and show you how to build it. So I have 2 here, and I'll just go ahead and start building one right next to it. So wherever your hopper line is, this is going to need to be 3 blocks below it. So you're going to need a good bit of space, and that is, I don't know how far that is, what, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 10 blocks long, so I mean it's pretty big. But anyway, so put down some redstone, glass block, redstone, and next put a block above the redstone. Okay, so repeater on 2 ticks, repeater on 1 tick. Come up with a repeater, put dust on it. Okay, and we can go ahead and put our dropper in now. So you're going to want to block in front of that, you're going to want to block on top of that repeater, and you're going to want to block on top of the dust. Alright, so comparator. Now, since we already have the other one here, I'll just go ahead and tie into that and put a repeater here with some dust. Now, you could also just come out on the side of this. You're going to need dust there, by the way. But you can also come out on the side of this with a couple blocks, put down a repeater and some dust, and go ahead and put a repeater, or a block, not a repeater, but a block and a torch above that dust. come out from that block, and we're going to want to put a repeater here on 2 ticks. Put a block above it. Down on the ground in front of the repeater, put some dust with a block on top of that. And coming out in front of that dust, you want to block with a torch. Next, put a block above the torch. Yeah. And go ahead and put some dust up. Alright, and that is the hard part done. So everything else, aside from the base, is going to be typical item elevator. So you just build up with your observers. And you can put some observers in the front. And we're going to replace every other one with a torch. Alright. Then some blocks. And finally your droppers. And you can have this going into a chest. And hopper. Alright, so that's going to be your input, and your output can be, going to whatever you want. And I already got some blocks, so I'll just throw those in. So this is full hopper speed. In fact, we can go ahead and test that to show you that it's full hopper speed. One way we can do that is just by putting down a chest, and we can just run a couple hoppers into it. Alright. So if we look at the hopper here, we can see that, that it's a constant stream of items. So that's how you know it's going to be full hopper speed. And we'll just wait for it to finish. Okay. And we got all 64 items, no noise. Alright, so now I'm going to show you what this setup does here. So this is the same thing, full hopper speed. Alright, the problem that I was having was with the dropper sorter here, being at half hopper speed. The way the synchronization works is that the repeaters turn off the comparators, right? So what I was doing previously was using the original comparator signal to power a repeater to power the bottom dropper. But I realized that when you have this really wacky input, see, like if you watch these redstone lines, just see how they're flashing. They're kind of going crazy. And then if you look down here, see like these repeaters, nothing, it's all completely out of synchronization, right? And the reason why it's able to do this is because I am adding a tick here on this repeater to make a one tick torch up here. And I'm adding a tick on this repeater here to where we get this kind of slower constant line here, right? So even when the item elevator is kind of just going crazy because they're too wide. So even when the timing is just going really wacky, you can still have a decent signal actually powering your repeaters and powering your observers to where you don't have to worry about it making noise. Now that's just from what I've been seeing with my testing, it all depends on the situation, but if it's not making noise now, and if it's not making noise with a dropper sorter, then I'm pretty sure it's going to be silent. But anyway, yeah. So if you can see the repeaters, like when they do that double flash, when it's doing that double flash, that's because there's an item in the dropper, but the previous comparator is getting an item and sending a signal to the repeater, so it's cutting it off part way. So, any second now. Yep. So completely silent, no loss of items. So yeah, it's expensive, but you know, from what I could tell, I mean, you can send in items at any particular rate that you would like to. You know, anything from less than half to half hopper speed to full hopper speed. I think the only thing I didn't try was just putting them directly in the dropper, but you know, that should still be just normal hopper speed anyway. But let's just see if it makes noise when it gets finished. But excuse me. Anyway, okay. Yeah. One thing you can see is that items actually do kind of get piled up in the second dropper, which is a pretty neat side effect. But it just shows you that we are, you know, behind a tick on the bottom, and we're behind, what, 2 ticks? Or at least 1 tick on the top. So it's pretty neat. You know, because it'll work and then it'll just all empty out. You know? So we don't have any items getting stuck. Anyway, so that was just an update, or I guess a version 2 of the 2 wide that should be completely silent and, you know, full hopper speed. Alright, okay, thanks for watching.